Ferenc says, Brother Edok, this work. I don't know where to start. Inconsistent spacing, rough strokes. You're working like you want to see this place closed. Edok says, Brother Prior, I am working to the best of my abilities and I dispute your criticism. I may not be fast, but I still have my talent, praise be to God. Ferenc says, and Brother Guy, why are you still on this page? What's wrong with you? Normally you're so reliable. Guy says, many apologies, Brother Prior. I will work harder. Ferenc says, Pierrot. I can't believe this. Baron Rothvogel has come to check on his progress and this is all you have? You should have finished this months ago. Is your mind so corrupted by age that you didn't notice the seasons have changed? Well, you're not the one who will have to answer for it, so why should you care? Typical. Option 1 of 2. Excuse me, Prior Ferenc, but I believe your point is made. Option 2 of 2. God, shut up Ferenc. Stop taking out your frustrations on an old man. Option 1 of 2. Excuse me, Prior Ferenc, but I believe your point is made. Ferenc says, Andreas, I will remind you that I am the master of this scriptorium and you are a guest here. Guy says, I agree, Brother Prior, Brother Pierrot's work is unacceptably slow. Edok says, you are insufferable, Brother Guy. Oh God, give me the patience to endure this. Pierrot says, please, everyone, this is my work and I accept responsibility for it. Prior Ferenc is right. Lorenz says, Prior Ferenc, is this mine? It must be, yes? Ferenc says, it is, my lord. I can expel. Lorenz says, no, no. I don't want excuses. I've come all this way and I have to be honest, I expected more. It's nowhere near finished and the style is, well, it's very old-fashioned. I thought I made my desires clear. I feel like my generosity toward Kearsaw is being taken advantage of. Am I the fool in this sad story? Gernot says, no, of course not, my lord. Never. We can fix this, of course. Of course. We only want to accommodate you. Lorenz says, Andreas. Good to see you again. Option 1 of 3. My lord. Player says, how should I respond to this? The abbot already seems annoyed. Option 1 of 3. Just nod. Don't irritate the abbot. Option 2 of 3. Simply addressing him as, my lord, would be appropriate. Option 3 of 3. Greet him with his Christian name. You are brothers and comrades in art. Hee. Option 2 of 3. Simply addressing him as, my lord, would be appropriate. Player says it acknowledges him respectfully without being overly familiar. Option 1 of 3. My lord. Lorenz says, Father Gernot, why not have Andreas complete the rest of the illustrations? He's clearly capable. Gernot says, well, my lord, why not have Brother Guy complete it if speed is your conc? Lorenz says, no. I'm not talking about the script, that's fine, but the art, the illustrations. I want Andreas to do the others. Gernot says, of course. I mean, if Andreas is alright with it. Option 1 of 3. If it takes the pressure off of Brother Pierrot, I'd be delighted to complete the work. Option 2 of 3. Well, Abbot, I am trying to finish my masterpiece at the moment. Option 3 of 3. Well, I will do what I have to do. Option 1 of 3. If it takes the pressure off of Brother Pierrot, I'd be delighted to complete the work. Gernot says, there we have it. I hope this allays your concerns, my lord. Lorenz says, excellent. By the way, Father Abbot, am I still welcome at your table for supper? Gernot says naturally, my lord. Lorenz says wonderful. I'd like Andreas to join us. Option 1 of 2 my lord, I've already made supper plans with the Drucker family in town. Option 2 of 2 say nothing. Option 1 of 2 my lord, I've already made supper plans with the Drucker family in town. Lorenz says nonsense. You can eat with them any day. I'm only here for the evening. Well, father? Gernot says well. That would be quite unusual. Lorenz says unusual or not, I doubt that my good friend the Prince Bishop would deny additional guests at his table. What do you think? Gernot says I understand. Yes, you're right, of course. Andreas may join us for supper. Lorenz says I look forward to it. Frank says you had this planned. You must have put your hook in the Baron this morning when you ambushed him in town. Option 1 of 3 OH, go to hell, Frank. Option 2 of 3 WHY are you mad at me? I'm trying to help. Option 3 of 3 that's beyond ridiculous. Listen to yourself. Option 2 of 3 WHY are you mad at me? I'm trying to help. Pierrot says Brother Prior, Andreas is not to blame for any of this. I am. Frank says yes you are. And you've embarrassed me, the abbot, and the abbey. Guy says Prior Frank is right, of course. No wonder we don't get more commissions. Edoc says Guy. Can you stop flattering the Prior for 1 minute? Option 1 of 3 if anyone is the embarrassment here, it's you, Frank. Option 2 of 3 you re so insincere and you're so obvious about it, Guy. Option 3 of 3 say nothing. Option 1 of 3 if anyone is the embarrassment here, it's you, Frank. Illuminata says brothers. If you please, Sister Zedina and I would prefer it if you could keep the noise down. It sounds like Samson slaying the Philistines in here. Frank says, of course. Get back to work, everyone. Player says well, that was, not wonderful. But there's nothing to be done about it now. I'll finish my work here and wash up in the lavatorium for supper at the abbot's table.
Opening. Search Century. Search Dormitory. Church. Old Tower. Dormitory. Tower. Cloister. Refectory. Court and Labyrinth.
Pierrot says Andreas. I'm so glad you'll be joining us for supper, though the circumstances are unusual, to be sure. I won't be able to speak with you, none of the brothers will, but it will be good to have you with us. Player says that's a shame. I always enjoy our talks. Pierrot says now, the same doesn't apply to you at the abbot's table. You can talk all you like. Though I wouldn't recommend it. Father Abbot does not look kindly on idle chatter. Option 1 of 3 I hope I don't make a fool of myself. These men are far above my station. Option 2 of 3 I wish you could take my place, Brother Pierrot. You deserve the honor. Option 3 of 3 supper with an abbot and a nobleman. I could get used to this. Option 2 of 3 I wish you could take my place, Brother Pierrot. You deserve the honor. Player says anyway, I'm sorry for how the prior treated you. It's not fair. Pierrot says oh no, my son. There's no need to worry about me or my pride. And we all need a taste of humility from time to time to keep our feet on this earth. No, Andreas, you are my pride. I cannot claim to have taught you much, but I am proud to have known you and your work, and when you leave all of us at Kearsau Abbey behind, you can call upon your friend Lorenz, the Baron Rothvogel, to help you in your career. Option 1 of 2 he's wrong, you know. Frank is wrong about you being slow. Option 2 of 2 there's nothing wrong with your style. It's not old just because a nobleman says so. Pierrot says don't trouble yourself over it. Time passes for us all, things change, the future will write over the present. You need not fear it, any of it, so long as you remain true to yourself and God. Now I must hurry to the refectory to join my brothers. I will see you inside.
Cloister. Cloister. Courtyard and refectory.
Lorenz says Andreas. Glad you could join us. Player says thank you, my lord. Father Gernot, Father Thomas. Prior Ferenc. Matthew says Simon Peter answered, You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Lorenz says Oh, the Gospel of Matthew. Wonderful. Matthew says Jesus replied, Blessed are you, Simon son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. Lorenz says Have you read Matthew much, Andreas? Option 1 of 5 Yes, I studied it extensively while I was in university while I was pursuing my theology doctorate. Option 2 of 5 SOME, yes. Option 3 of 5 NOT really, to be honest. Option 4 of 5 not head. Option 5 of 5 shake head. Option 1 of 5 yes, I studied it extensively while I was in university while I was pursuing my theology doctorate. Gernot says ahem. Matthew says I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Then he ordered his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. Lorenz says whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. That reminds me, Father Gernot, have you read anything by Martin Luther? Gernot says I can't say that I. Lorenz says he has some incredible ideas about the church. Brilliant, I think. Gernot says my lord, is the meal to your liking? I believe I remember you enjoying our quail on your last visit. Lorenz says the quail? My God, Father Abbot, the quail's fine, but don't you think Luther's ideas are worth discussing? He's talking about the future of the church, shaking things up in a way I don't think we've seen before. Father Thomas, you see value in his ideas, do you not? Thomas says my lord. I mean no offense, but I do not. Lorenz says brother. Matthew, yes? How appropriate. What are your thoughts on Luther's attacks on the church's sale of indulgences? Matthew says. Gernot says Baron, please do not involve the other brothers in this conversation. Lorenz says fine. Fine. What about Andreas? Certainly a man who attended the same university as Martin Luther can spare some thoughts on his work. Option 1 of 3 yes, I have some thoughts. There's a great deal of theological merit to Luther's work. Option 2 of 3 why not? Where should we start? Option 3 of 3 remain silent. Player says he's really put me in a difficult position. Option 1 of 4 there's a lot of theology to talk about. Maybe Father Gernot would appreciate that. Option 2 of 4 why not join in a debate? It may bring everyone closer to understanding truth. Option 3 of 4 I need to be quiet. I don't know what else to do. Option 4 of 4 to hell with the abbot. If he can't handle a little criticism, he isn't fit to sit at the fancy table. Option 1 of 4 there's a lot of theology to talk about. Maybe Father Gernot would appreciate that. Player says but given his responses so far, it doesn't seem likely. Option 1 of 3 yes, I have some thoughts. There's a great deal of theological merit to Luther's work. Lorenz says a debate. Excellent. Why not start with the 95 Theses? Gernot says enough. Andreas, you should know better. Lord Rothvogel, you are our guest and held in high esteem, but you have worn out my patience. You will not be discussing Luther's work with Andreas, Thomas, Matthew, or with any other brother. Is that clear? Lorenz says, I suppose, Father. It is your abbey, but you're taking too much offense at this and you're far too afraid of change. Whether it's from Luther or someone else, reform is coming to the church. You had better accept it. Gernot says what? Neither you nor Martin Luther dictate change to the Holy Church on their whim. This talk is beyond insulting. It's blasphemous. Outrageous. How dare you? Lorenz says, I have overstepped my bounds. And I suppose I have ruined everyone's supper. My apologies. In spite of this unpleasantness, I will make good on my manuscript payment and the donation of my copy of Historia Tascia. If you cannot accept what the future will bring, perhaps it's time for you to come to terms with your past. Well, no need to overstay my welcome. Fathers, brothers, Andreas, good night. Gernot says, why, Andreas? Why did you engage him? I expect better of you. Now then, I must ask you to leave so I can speak to the brothers in chapter privately. Brother Pierrot, please accompany Andreas out. Thomas says, I will take my leave as well. Good night. Pierrot says, don't worry about Father Gernot and the Baron. I'm sure it will all be fine by morning. I hope Father Abbot can see that the Baron's heart is in the right place, even if he picked the wrong time to express himself. Option 1 of 2 that seems unlikely. Option 2 of 2 I think the Baron should apologize if he wants to be forgiven. Option 1 of 2 that seems unlikely. Pierrot says it may be so, but we must never lose hope. In any case, I do hope the Baron respects the Abbot's wishes for the rest of his stay, for everyone's sake. Player says, Brother Pierrot, what do you think of Martin Luther's ideas? Pierrot says, that is for younger and wiser men than me to decide. I am just a monk, thank God. Good night, my son. Refectory. Player says I should get some sleep. Lower Abbey. There's a lamp still burning in the guest house. Lorenz must still be awake. I wonder how he's doing, and what was he thinking? He's a baron, but he couldn't have expected that to go well. The storm doesn't seem to be letting up any time soon. I should get back to the Gärtners, Upper Abbey. Hey? Gah. Till says, are you all right, Master Mailer? Option 1 of 3 I believe that I may have just seen the physical manifestation of a spirit. Option 2 of 3D did you see that? In the aqueduct? Option 3 of 3 I think so. Option 1 of 3 I believe that I may have just seen the physical manifestation of a spirit. Till says the ghost? Option 1 of 3 yes. Option 2 of 3 maybe. Option 3 of 3 there must be a better explanation than that. Till says, well, I'm not here to tell you what you saw. Wouldn't be the first time people have seen ghosts around these parts. Option 1 of 3. Interesting. Option 2 of 3 I don't think it was a ghost. Option 3 of 3 have you ever seen one? Till says usually around the ruins. Who knows how many restless Romans lie beneath those stones? Player says. Till says, well, I think I found Johann's last lost sheep. I'm going to head home. Take care, Master Mailer. Option 1 of 3 I will. Thank you, Till. Option 2 of 3 you2. Option 3 of 3 good night, Till. Option 1 of 3 I will. Thank you, Till.
Forest, mill. Chicken forest.
Emily says, no. Pale horse. Pale horse. Still on the floor. Option 1 of 2. He hello? Are you alright in there? Amelie says Matins. Matins. The pale horse, death. Thomas says sister, listen to my voice. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Amelie says, yes. Yes, father. I hear you. Is this now? Thomas says yes, you are with us. And this is now. I apologize, Andreas. I imagine that must have been quite alarming. Option 1 of 2. Is she alright? Option 2 of 2. That sounded like she was having an ecstatic vision. Thomas says your knowledge surprises me, Andreas, though the Baron did say you were an educated man. But yes, Sister Amelie is a mystic, gifted with visions when God sees fit to give her one. Some are more frightening than others. Option 1 of 2. What is she doing in there? Does she live in the church? Option 2 of 2. How long has she been here? Option 1 of 2. What is she doing in there? Does she live in the church? Thomas says she lives there, yes. I'm a little surprised you haven't noticed her before. If you came to Mass more often, you would see that I give her communion through a window to her cell. Player says oh, is she an anchoress? Thomas says she is, yes. Devoted to God, enclosed in the cells next to the church. She is dead to the world, but continues a life of prayer and religious contemplation. And sometimes, ever so rarely, she receives great and terrible visions. Player says is she local to Tassing or was she a nun at Kiersau? Thomas says neither. She came here from a Benedictine abbey in Lower Bavaria after it burned down. I am her confessor and caretaker. Many anchoresses are not literate. I write down her visions to help interpret them. Player says I thought all of the monks and nuns at Kiersau could read, even poor brother Folkbert. Amelie says thank you, Father Thomas. I must rest now. Thomas says of course, sister. Player says she seems unhappy. Thomas says she is not unhappy, but she is in pain, both physical and spiritual. Her spiritual pain comes from her revelations. They come and go. I try to address them as best I can. The physical pain comes from a deformity in her spine and aching in her joints. I know of no cure for that, save prayer to the Almighty. Player says Sister Amelie was saying she had a vision of death. Could someone be in danger? Thomas says oh, no, don't rush to judgment. Her visions are divine and powerful, but they could have many meanings. Some of her revelations take years to comprehend. Some may never be understood at all, as God wills it. Still, the argument at dinner was quite troubling. Perhaps it has cast a shadow over our thoughts. Now then, the good sister appears to have fallen back to sleep. I must prepare for bed myself. Good night, Andreas. Player says good night, father.
No, that's how I ended up your house. Settle down, Tom Collins. Zimmer house. Gurtner farm, Gurtner farm.
Gurtner house. Gurtner guest room. Gurtner guest room. Go, it's getting late, I should get some rest. Option 1 of 2. Go to sleep. Go to bed.